Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Keys to AWS Optimization, where today we're going to be talking about the new cost efficiency metric that is in the billing and cost management console. This came out at reInvent, but feels like a lifetime ago. But as we are doing this little reInvent kind of recap series this first quarter of the year, we're going to be diving in with its creators to tell you all about what it is, who should be using it, and how you use it. We're going to be doing a demo a little bit later on. As always, please drop any comments, questions if you're watching us live in the chat, or if you're watching us on demand, make sure to drop a comment below with any of your questions and I will get back to you. But let's get into it. So welcome to the Keys to AWS Optimization, the show we share stories, concepts, and solutions to help you unlock your spend at AWS. My name is Steph Gooch. I'm a senior SA advocate at AWS. And my lovely guest, some of you may know, some you may not. But Rick, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, Steph. Hi, everybody. My name is Rick. I lead the product management team here at AWS for the optimization tooling. What that means is I lead the customer working backwards process, defining requirements and launching the features for compute optimizer, savings plan purchase analyzer, cost optimization hub. Most anything that gives you a recommendation to help you save money is likely coming from our team.
Yes, all the big things. And you probably have heard us name drop those products constantly. But we've also got someone from a bit more behind the scenes. So Albert, do you want to introduce yourself too?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Albert D. I'm the engineer from Cost Optimization Hub team. So I'm one of the engineers that originally built this the cost optimization hub, and I'm the project lead on the backend engineering side of this project of the cost efficiency project. So yeah.
Excellent. Brilliant. So this is great because we wanted to make sure that we share a little bit about why the decisions made for the look and some of the product stuff from Rick, but also behind the scenes, because this is, so it seems, we were saying this beforehand, it seems like a simple metric, but there's a lot of thought gone into this to make it as simple to understand as possible and to use. So let's get into what this thing is. So Rick, do you want to just quickly summarize what is the efficiency metric?
Yeah. So there's a long story here. Like maybe we break it up. So cost efficiency, the definition of what this new thing is a simple percentage. And basically it's what percentage of your spend that you can optimize is optimized. And so what we do is we take all of the recommendations you have in the hub, which come from compute optimizer, RI recommendations, savings plan recommendations, idle. We combine all of them. We duplicate any overlapping savings. So we don't count savings for buying a savings plan for something that's idle, for example. So we deduplicate all that. And then we divide it by the amount of spend for those resources that you can optimize. So it's not your total spend. It's pretty close though. It removes things like your support charges or one-time credits or things like that. And then it takes that total optimizable spend, and then you just get a simple percentage. So if you have $100 of potential savings and $1,000 of spend, you are 90% efficient. We invert the number. So the higher the efficiency is, the more savings you've achieved, or the less savings you have still outstanding to achieve. It's really cool because you can track it over time. When we launched it, we did 3 months of history. So as new environments are provisioned, if they're less efficient, your efficiency will go down. If your engineering teams invest a lot in building efficient environments from the start, you're going to see just a natural efficiency increase. Or you can go look at the recommendations, and as you implement recommendations, the efficiency metric will increase. Then you can compare different business units and teams to see like who's the best, who needs the help. And really, like, we thought a lot about the cultural side of this too when we built this metric.
Yeah, and we'll show you where it is in the console a little bit later on, so stick around for that. But it's going to be interesting to see how people take this on and start to use this, how they review their entire organizations or individual accounts and start to use that metric. And like you said, either as a good thing, it's like, hey, you're doing really well, or here's some more work. And not only the good thing is it gives you that baseline. We talk about a lot with metrics that, yes, one account might be having a huge saving, but they also might be optimized into a bigger account. So it really depends. But with that, a little bit on, like, we talked about the historical element, but Why was this something that you've focused on, Rick? Why was this a key thing to release in your team?
So there's a lot of metrics in the FinOps industry. There's a lot of cost visibility metrics, show back, charge back. There's even some more advanced metrics where I think a lot of companies are getting closer to unit economics, which is really exciting. Unit economics works on a per app basis or per use case basis. You struggle. It's really difficult to get a unit metric that's across your whole environment. And most of those metrics are in the visibility space where you're just trying to understand your spend and how much you're spending, what you're spending it on, which are really, really important questions to answer. In the optimization part of FinOps, optimization, what we observe from our customers is it tends to come a little bit later in the journey of FinOps, where it's hard to optimize something if you don't know who owns it, what's it running, why is it running that way, all of this business context behind your resources. So we just see kind of a little bit lower maturity in the optimization space compared to the cost visibility space. It's sort of something you do as the 300 level or kind of the tail end of your maturity curve of FinOps. And we see that reflected as the industry creates and owns metrics. And as we look at the metrics across the optimization ecosystem, there's a few of them, but they're really focused on specific use cases. So there's things like effective savings rate. Is a really popular metric for companies that spend a ton of time on commitments. So buying savings plans, buying RIs, it kind of sums up your total discount amount from all those discount types. But it doesn't cover things like right sizing or idle. Then you have some other infrastructure metrics like CPU average, cost per core, some of those things that are really, really nice to understand kind of how you're doing from a resourcing perspective. But there wasn't a metric that combined both sides of optimization, both commitments, purchasing and pricing optimization with resource optimization. And as we had a lot of conversations with customers, we'd have to dive into each separately. And long term, our vision is that when customers think about and work on optimization, it's both together. It's both commitment optimization and resource optimization together. If you optimize for one or the other, you may actually paint yourself into a corner. Like if you buy a lot of reservations and savings plans, you may actually block yourself from cleaning up your idle resources because you already prepaid for them. And so it's really important to do both together at the same time and measure both together. So one doesn't succeed, at the risk of making the other part of optimization fail. And so having one unified metric and tracking mechanism that accounts for both parts of optimization is really important. And so we kept talking to customers. We heard about these metrics. We heard about effective savings, target coverage, CPU average, and we're like, we need a new metric. We need a metric. And I think not just AWS and our customers, but I think the FinOps industry needs a new metric that's easy to understand and is so simple you can apply it to any scope or as the FinOps framework expands to additional scopes and we talk about multi-cloud, it should be a metric and a methodology that you can apply anywhere, anytime, and it's easy to integrate across your tool sets. So we can really make a statement about this is a great way to measure the success of your FinOps team. What is the output of your FinOps team? So that's some of the thinking behind why we built this.
Yeah. And it's also just occurred to me that what's nice about this is it's standard across all customers, which sounds obvious. But if people move companies, they have this metric that they're like, okay, I know what this means. It's the same. There's not. And it's also third parties. We love, they're great. But there's also so many metrics that they have. And like jumping between different places can be quite hard to understand what good looks like. And so having this all the same across the board is amazing. We have two questions, so let me just jump into those for quick. Question one, is there a plan to include cost categories or AWS organizational structure as part of the filters in cost efficiency metric?
Yeah, we're thinking about that. I can't divulge any timelines or dates or anything, but yeah, this is something that we've heard. The amount of feedback we've gotten on efficiency metric is really, really high, which is awesome. And so we have a lot of things to think through. And as we game plan and roadmap out the future of efficiency and it's extending it to additional scopes, this is definitely one of the things we've heard most for sure.
Yeah. And that was William, I think. William, email costoptimization@amazon.com. Send me your feedback and I can pass it on to Rick, because we love to hear from customers. Rick's team is constantly trying to get in contact with customer teams to figure out what is going to be best for them. And we have another question, which is it free to use?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It's one of the most fun things on my team, and Albert can probably speak to this too. We love launching free features. It's got to be one of the most fun jobs at the company, is that everything we do, we look for ways to make it free on purpose, even if it costs like a lot to compute and deliver optimization capability. Because our intent here is not that this is a product, a main tier one sort of product or service to sell from an AWS perspective, but this allows you to use AWS more efficiently. So EC2 is the product you're using, and Compute Optimizer and Cost Optimization Hub are the products that help you maximize the value of using EC2. So that's kind of the thinking behind how we build free things. And yeah, I feel really lucky that I think we have one of the best jobs and teams in the company, where we get to just go build a bunch of free things that help people save a ton of money. So
we love it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Albert, I'm curious, what are your thoughts? Because I haven't talked to you about that actually.
Yeah. I mean, in this area, our area, mostly we are helping customer to save money instead of like charging customer and stuff. So I've been in this area for quite a few years, and yeah, all the service we build, all the API we provide, like none of them will be like charging money and stuff. And so our goal is, it's not exactly helping company make more money, but like helping customer to at least let them know how they can save more money, the recommendation and optimization, all the stuff, which yeah, I do find this is very, very interesting.
Yeah. And the big thing is with these tools, right, is we are helping you guys grow so that you can build more of your cloud, hopefully, that you need more resources, not just to spend the money, but so that because there's demand. I was explaining this to my partner the other day that we talked about Monzo. It was one of the first UK companies that understood using cloud because they grew from nowhere, and the way they were able to do it was because they had this flexibility of the cloud and things like that. A couple more questions. Questions keep coming in, folks. We absolutely love it. Or again, if you're watching on demand, hit that subscribe button and make sure you drop me a comment or question underneath the video. Aaron asks, is there an easy way to validate the accuracy of the score?
Oh, what a good question. Oh, I love that question. Okay, so the way we design the metric is that it's so simple externally. When you're looking at it, it's very easy to calculate it yourself. So you can look at the definition in our user guide, or we actually even provided the definition in the console, but you just take the total of all your recommendations, which is shown in the Cost Optimization Hub, and divided by total optimizable spend, which is the spend for all of the resources that we do have recommendations for, and that's also in the user guide. And you divide one by the other, and it's pretty simple. And so yeah, we welcome everybody to validate it and double check it. It's one of the things we heard the most when we talked to a lot of customers is there are some incredible FinOps teams out there that have built metrics that are very similar to this. But it's taken them a long time because they have to go earn trust with their leadership on, yeah, this is the right thing to measure, or we did it the right way. And those debates can take months, or I even heard one customer say it took them a year of debates with their leadership to win over the thinking of the leadership on a metric. And so when we were building this metric, we wanted to make that really easy to validate and also really easy to replicate on maybe on other clouds, or if you have other recommendations you built yourself, then you could append them to the score and kind of modify the score as you want. So that's like a lot of the thinking behind the score, is that we're going to show you all the backend math, and you can change it or amend it or add on to it all you want. You can grab the score via API. And again, the idea here is transparency earns trust, and trust is paramount in the optimization space for leaders to set targets or use the metric to drive culture change. Yeah, Albert, I'm curious what you think of that too, because I mean, you spent so much time working on, on the surface, it looks simple, and we made it so it feels simple and it's easy to replicate, but there's a lot of stuff that went behind the scenes to make it that simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, so yeah, customer will be able to replicate like the score, because like the score come from saving and spending, right? For saving is come from it's basically the COH saving, the potential saving we present to customer in COH front page like every day, and the spending, the cost come from cost of optimization hub. Internally, we call internal API, but the API is the same as what basically is the backend of the public cost report API. So as long as like customer use the correct query to get a cost, they will get the same cost, and then with the spending and saving, they will be able to generate the same score that's showing in the console. There is we do optimize this level of part, especially when querying the cost optimization, the cost explorer. Like you mentioned, like we only keep those the service that actually have recommendation, and we make sure that we don't have like other factor that might affect this calculation, something like upfront fee or like refund tax, those kind of things. But as long as we have as long as if a customer want to query by themselves, as long as they build the correct query, they will get the same cost as we did, and they will be able to generate replicate this score.
And we have in the console, we actually put and explained what's in each of those numbers with little info buttons. So it's really, really simple to click the info button and read like what is going into this optimizable spend number, what is going into this potential savings number. So it's pretty easy to replicate. Again, transparency is really important here to earn trust with whoever you're using the score with. You have to earn trust with that individual or team. Yeah.
And we'll come back and we'll do the demo in a bit, so stick around, folks. We've got a couple more questions before we go anywhere, which is, first one, should customers stop working on cost optimization if the score is showing at 97 or more? Albert's just laughing. What do you guys think? So they just retire, put their feet up?
No. And in fact, like you may have a high score because you have a ton of savings plan coverage, which is great, save a lot of money. But if you have really high savings plan coverage, you're actually blocking a bunch of right size recommendations or auto recommendations. Those recommendations actually go away because you won't save any money. And so you can sort of cover over, kind of like we talked about earlier in the episode, you can cover over some potential savings if you overdo your commitments a little bit. So it's important that when your commitments expire, you'll see a bunch of right size recommendations and idle recommendations repopulate, because now there's more savings to go get, because these resources are no longer covered by a discount. And so there's savings to be had. So if you're at 95%, I take a look at when your expirations happen for RIs and savings plans. There's more savings on the table likely for you, especially if you've gone pretty heavy on commitment optimization, which is great. We see this a lot where commitment optimization tends to be easier because you don't have to engage engineering teams as much. The technical complexity is lower. So people go towards commitment optimization pretty fast because there's a lot of savings there. It's a little bit more simple. The analysis can be done by a single team or person in a FinOps sort of organization for the whole company. Whereas something like idle cleanup, right size work, those require initiatives that span multiple engineering teams. You have to go put together project plans and all that sort of stuff. So if you see a really high score, I would take a look at that. Do you have a bunch of commitment coverage that's blocking right sizing from being successful? That being said, a 95+% score is pretty impressive, and you should take a screenshot. We'd love to see it. And actually, I have a cool story about that stuff.
Yeah.
When we were at reInvent announcing the score, we were doing this sort of social party with the FinOps Foundation. The FinOps Foundation works with us during reInvent and other events to bring the FinOps community together to have really cool conversations. And so we presented some of our new features, and we're talking to a lot of FinOps experts around the globe, kind of all in one place. And I was asking about efficiency metric. Hey, what do you all think about it? And getting some feedback. And then I asked, like, what's your score? And I had like maybe 5 or 6 FinOps leaders kind of in a circle. We're all chatting about things, and they all kind of got quiet. and I could see them kind of glance around, and nobody wanted to answer. And I'm like, okay, well, do you all know your score? The feature's only out for a week. Have you taken a look? And they all nodded. They all had actually looked at the score. They knew their score, which is pretty cool. And then finally, one person kind of stepped forward and they're like, yeah, I have a 94%. And they were kind of like proud of it. And that's cool. I'm like, wow, that's a great score. That's really wonderful. And then everybody else is like, oh, wow, you can just share your number. And then so they all started sharing their numbers. And I think that's exactly what we were hoping for when we're building the score, is that this creates an opportunity for the community at large to have conversations. Like, you have a high score, you have a 94. How did you get there? Like, what was your journey to achieve that level of efficiency? So it creates an opportunity for people to share their story of how they were successful in FinOps. Like, what recommendation types did you go after first? How did you convince engineering teams? What's the story behind how your score was so high? And so I saw this interaction play out real time live at reInvent with the FinOps Foundation community. And I can't wait to see this continue. Like, we're going to go to FinOps X in June. I'm really interested to see how many people show their score in slides when
that's the ask.
Stage and tell the story of how they've done a certain FinOps activity or outcome, because then it's a measurable, consistent metric that everybody has and can relate to. Right? And so it's kind of a storytelling mechanism as well. So that was a really cool experience for me, especially considering we had just launched the score and people had already gone and looked. I think it's just like the credit score. People want to go look. What's my number? So there's a psychological element there that can hopefully help push the culture change with FinOps teams.
Yeah. And like you said, what was really cool is that it doesn't matter if you're a huge multi-conglomerate giant thing or a small company, your percentages are relevant to your business. So whereas when people would sometimes be cautious to say, oh, I have X amount in Compute Optimizer or Cost Optimization Hub, because it kind of shows what they're spending in the cloud, which is kind of private. Some people find, some is private. But with this score, it's all relative. But Albert, sorry, were you going to say something?
Oh no, I'm just a bit curious. Is there anyone that's sharing their score but end up being not high, or everyone is like the score is kind of high?
I mean, my score is really low. Well, that's a good question. Let's put it to the group. Who's checked their efficiency score? Drop a 1 in the chat for yes and 2 for no. If you're watching us on Twitch. So let us know what your thing is. And also you can also let us know what your score is. Well, if you don't know how to find it, then drop it in. So I got a couple of yeses in there, or some no's. So someone said, no, I'm too scared. Don't be scared. If it's like ignorance is not bliss in the situation, use it to drive things. But yeah, like a mixed bag of people. So hopefully today will inspire you to go and find that information. And of course, if you do and you want to show off cost optimization at Amazon.com, or if this episode has
Steph, I lost your audio.
Yeah.
Steph, I can't hear you anymore, so sorry. I can keep going here. So what I'll say is, like, if you have an opportunity to share your score, you can screenshot the score, you can post it publicly. Because it is a percentage number, it's pretty easy for you to share that without any sort of company information or whatever. It's just a percentage metric. And one other really cool thing about the score is that every individual percent of the score relates to an actual dollar value. So say you're at 85% and you look at a lot of recommendations and say you work with engineering teams to implement those recommendations. If you move your score from 85% to 86%, every single individual percent relates to a very specific dollar amount.
Yeah.
Because that denominator of spend is maybe consistent month over month or something like that. Say 1% of your score relates to $1,000 or $10,000 or some number. Every individual increase in your efficiency metric score is related to a very specific dollar amount. So setting targets, tracking it over time, watching it change as maybe your spend increases or decreases. The score sort of changes over time as your environment changes. So as your business and as your company invests in more resources or makes changes, investment decision or changes with their cloud spend. Steph, do we have you back? Still no. Oh no, we can't hear you.
Oh no.
I think-
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
There's a little bit.
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Am I back?
Yes.
You're back.
Okay. Do you know, folks, thank you for bearing with me. I'm not sure what happened there, but this is recently something else happened. My whole thing went dark and I thought I had a power cut and I was like, what's happening? Thank you, folks, for bearing with me. And I see in the chat some scores coming out. So 88.7.
That's actually pretty good.
86.25. Yeah, those are amazing. And we have some other questions to bring in. I realize I have moved. So a couple of questions before we move on. Can you get alerts or events on changes to this metric?
Ooh, that's a cool idea. I haven't thought about that one yet. Let me take that one back, Aaron. Thanks for that feedback.
And you know what you got to do is you have to let us send us an email, because the way we love to stream on Twitch and on YouTube, but we don't know who you are because you have these lovely usernames. Don't share your personal information on here, please. But you can email me and then we'll make sure that you get that feedback back to Rick. So we want to share. Can you share the high-end score you have? What's the highest score you've encountered, Rick? Was it that 95?
Well, from what a customer has told me, or from like the back-end data, because like there are some.
Oh yeah,
because
behind the scenes.
We do have 100%. We do have some customers at 100%, but it's because they're very small. They have a small number of resources, and so they don't have any like oversized instance types, or they don't have any spend that's purely on demand. So there are 100% out there, but they're so small. Any customer of size, anybody with more than like 50, 100 type of resources, yeah, it's not going to be 100%.
Cosplayer says throw the small ones out. It's like, I don't
throw the
care.
small ones out. I think that's a good idea. But even within a company, you'll see some accounts with a very high score because, if you have 100 accounts or 1,000 accounts, you may have some accounts with maybe no usage that has recommendations, right? So there are 100% in there. It's much better to look at the score from your payer account. You can see that score for your whole environment, for the whole company. And we kind of get out of the weeds of necessarily like saying, why is this 100%? Why is this one 0%? Or whatever that may be. The highs and the lows. By aggregating all of the scores from all of your accounts and looking at the payer count, that's helpful. But then also taking a look at what the score is for the big accounts inside each business unit. Because you may have a couple of big accounts for, I don't know, HR IT or sales IT or whatever divisions you have in your organization. They're going to have different efficiency scores. And we talk to customers all the time where they're like, hey, there's this one team that's great at FinOps and they take optimization seriously. And then there's this other team and they maybe don't do that and they need more help. And being able to compare the efficiency score between those two teams is really helpful because you can sort of use some data and convert it from like a, hey, you won't talk to us and you won't play nice with us to, hey, here's data. Here's actual concrete signals, and convert this to a data-driven conversation where we have very specific signals and data points and trends over time to say we actually can measure behavior mathematically now. And that's one of the things in the FinOps industry that's been so hard is how do you drive culture change? And what are the right data points? And that's why like KPIs and metrics and reports have been such a dominant conversation in the FinOps industry for the last 10 years, which is what graph can I show to my leadership that's really going to get them involved and get committed to making changes and invest in FinOps and invest in how to use cloud with elasticity and efficiency. So we really wanted to just equip people to have this same conversation with the data. So it's less of a finger pointing, hey, you don't work with us on FinOps, and instead just show the data, let the data speak for itself.
Yeah.
Let people that are more maybe data driven or engineering teams that, use data to do prioritization of their backlog, which admittedly that's how we do it too, has quantifiable returns on what would it mean if we invested in FinOps? What is the dollar number of savings? Like if we take a goal to improve efficiency by 5%, what does that mean? What does that mean for our P&L? What does it mean for our spend? And it's the potential of this entire KPI and score.
Excellent. And we got a couple more, two statements and then two questions. And then I want to jump back to Albert a little bit more behind the scenes stuff of how some stuff is handled. So first of all, the same thing happened at FinOps Summit when a feature was announced. So that bringing together was such a lovely, if you're new to the FinOps community, welcome. It is a great place. People are very supportive and share things together. Piece of feedback. I think if you also include more details on the cost breakdown for EC2s, it looks like it encapsulates EBS and snapshots as well, which is confusing sometimes. So with that kind of feedback, I definitely, again, would throw up my email address. Guys, there's a lot of email opportunity here. I'm expecting my inbox to be flooded with these feedbacks as they are very helpful. Or anything to say on that, Rick? Or
that's great feedback. Thinking about efficiency by resource type is something we played around with when we were developing this. Albert can talk about that a lot too. There's a lot of complexity behind that because you have discount types like savings plans that span multiple services. So duplicating that to get to a real score per service, something we worked on extensively and wasn't part of the scope for that original launch, but it's something that like we'd love to collect that sort of feedback to understand.
Yeah, perfect.
It's the time and effort required to do that versus the business value. Yeah.
And how often does the score refresh? Could we see historical trends in the score?
Yeah. We give you a daily score, and we also give you a monthly score. If you want to see sort of the month end, we take the last score of that month, so you get credit for the whole month of effort and activity. So you can do month over month or day over day. And we store 3 months or 90 days of that efficiency metric for you and ship to you in the cost optimization hub.
Yeah, the score refresh every 24 hours, same as the recommendation itself. It refresh every day, and the cost also they go over day by day. So yeah.
Nice. And is there an export of the score? Can you export that data?
Great question. Not yet. This is something we're also thinking about heavily is how can we create an export? We have an export of the cost optimization hub.
Okay.
So you could recreate score pretty easily with what's in that export, but that's something I think it might be the number one thing we've heard from customers is like, it's great, I want it integrated into my dashboards, give me some sort of mechanism. We have the API, so a lot of customers have already integrated it via API. But the export is another very common way that customers build their own dashboards, very similar to Kerr or the COH exports, cost optimization hub exports that exist today in the exports console.
And Costlayer has a direct, can you export as a right-click download CSV instead of a bucket? So that's where he wants the explicit one, or both.
Albert and I were just talking about that yesterday. So it's something we're discussing actively right now. I think that I love that feedback. I heard actually at reInvent some customers say like, hey, my FinOps team doesn't have access to create S3 buckets, nor do we have developers to go build our own dashboard. Please give us a CSV. So we keep hearing that, and we're discussing how we can go do that.
I remember once I was, go on, Albert.
Oh, sorry. I'm just saying things like Coast Export itself, they have a button to just like download, click and download all the export data as a CSV.
I remember once it was at CloudyCon, which is before FinOps X that existed, and I was at a stand that was a demo of some third-party tool, and they were showing all the amazing features, and I just leaned over to the woman next to me and went, I bet you the next question is going to be, can I export that data? And within a moment, someone with the hand up, how do I export the data? And I was like, and she looked at me like, how did you know? I was like, everyone loves a visual, but then everyone's like, but I want to be able to have it. Like they want to be able to control it. So
you want to operationalize it, or and I heard that a lot from customers too. Like, I already have a lot of dashboards and reports for FinOps. I don't necessarily want to replace my KPIs. This metric is really nice because it goes along with whatever KPIs you have. We're not like looking to just like rip and replace your FinOps approach to reporting. This metric, you'll find a ton of commonality between this metric and your existing metrics. When efficiency goes up, you'll see your other metrics go up too, like cost per core or your effective savings rate. There's going to be like a relationship between all these metrics. So it's a great addition to your FinOps toolkit, to your existing dashboards and products.
This is another question kind of related. Is the wind blowing? This is the metric in kudos. With the kudos guys, again, drop me an email and we can share that in. But If you want the feature in there, then you can always do it yourself, but we can pass that feedback
Steph,
on.
I'm actually surprised they haven't done it yet.
I know, right? What's Yuri doing?
I don't know. But last time I launched, like, I give Yuri like heads up and previews of some of the stuff we're doing.
Yeah.
And like one time, I think it was last re:Invent, he launched support for something. I think it was the idle recommendations, like within a week.
Nice.
Like, I don't know if he slept. I'm not sure.
Probably not.
Yuri's
He's doing it on the plane home from re:Invent.
Yeah.
And last question, which is a nice segue to what I want to talk to Albert about, which is, will there be a future score created for teams who don't manage RI and savings plans themselves? I guess this is looking at like if we could untick certain boxes and stuff like that. But before we actually dive into that, and we'll come back to it, Albert, how are savings plans and RIs handled with the efficiency score? I wanted to double check. Is it just chucked in the savings, or like how do you explain it? For someone who has to explain it to someone else, how would you explain how they're handled?
Well, how they handle here, you mean like how is the savings part calculated when it's RI and SP, is it?
Yeah, so if, especially with elements like if they have unused and things like that.
So I think this is part of existing feature in COH itself, right? Like the potential this recommendation summary API, or like the potential saving in the COH console, is where we basically try to optimize like the existing saving, either this RSP or right sizing. We basically combine them together, and then we give like an optimized path. Okay, you pick this right sizing and this highest either RI or SP, and then we come out with this number. And I think Rick mentioned earlier, yeah, we also do deduplication to make sure like when overlap happens, we don't double count the savings and all those things. But basically, we already have this saving number in the previous COH. So the efficient metric when this happens is like, yeah, you basically just pick that numbers and then proceed to calculate this cost efficient metrics.
And there's some like dynamics there too. Like if there is a savings plan and an RI that both apply to the same service,
yeah,
we will keep the savings plan. Because what we heard from customers is that because the savings plans are more flexible, they prefer the savings plan.
Right.
There's a little bit higher savings with RIs, so by and large, we try to pick the higher savings recommendation and keep that, except for a couple of edge cases like RI versus SP. We keep the SP instead, because we just heard from FinOps teams the higher flexibility of those savings plans wins out. And because you paint yourself into a corner a lot less when you're using savings plans versus RIs. RIs, you buy a 3-year, you are locked in, you cannot change that instance type or size for a long time, or especially for like RDS, but that's why generally we're looking for the savings plan savings amount first. So it's not always the maximum amount of savings, it's the most durable and reliable and highest adoption savings we're keeping.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's still going to be customer choice whether like which RLSP they're going to purchase. But like for our recommendation, yeah, we optimize the path like savings, higher priority. Well, SPs have higher priority than RI. So that's like the optimized path we suggest customer to use. Yes.
And we did launch a customization feature at FinOps X last year where you can pick your term and payment type for your commitments. And that's like a way to maybe, and that will update the score as well. So if you're like, oh, by default, we're showing 3-year commitments, but your company doesn't buy 3-year commitments, you sort of baseline on 1 year, you can go into the hub and configure preferences to say, we want to default all of the calculations to 1-year commitments with no upfront or all upfront, whatever payment type you want. And that will impact your score, but it'll help make sure that score is aligned to what really is possible in your environment based on like the acceptability of what type of commitments you'd like to make.
Interesting. All right, the moment we've been waiting for, let's go into a demo of this. And Rick, I'll bring up the screen.
Awesome. Okay, so we have the cost optimization hub. Actually, you know what? Let's just go to the billing and cost management console. For anybody that doesn't know where to go to get your score, this is the cost management console. And on the left side of the screen, you'll see all sorts of cool products and capabilities. And you'll see underneath savings and commitments, cost optimization hub. That's where we're going. If you don't have it enabled, please go enable it. It's a free product. There's really no reason not to. So go turn it on. Within a day, it'll all populate and recommendations will start showing up. Also note, if you have Compute Optimizer enabled, all of those right size and idle recommendations will flow into the hub as well. And that is a requirement for the efficiency metric to work correctly, because if you don't have those right size and idle recommendations, you won't be getting an accurate score. So we decided to turn the score off if you don't have all those recommendations working correctly. Otherwise, you'll just get really high, overly inflated efficiency scores, and people will ask, "Hey, how come my score's so high?" When so go enable Cost Optimization Hub, go enable Compute Optimizer, and then you'll get the score. So as Albert was talking about a little bit ago, we have potential savings. This is not new. This is something that's been in the hub since day one, since we launched it a few years ago. This is the savings of all of your different recommendation types added together. So you're going to see recommendations for EC2, RDS, savings plans, auto scaling groups, EBS, Lambda, a bunch of other stuff as well. And NAT Gateway is something we just launched at reInvent as well. You can kind of play around with this. You can say like, implementation effort. Which are the low hanging fruit recommendations? Like, I want to go after these very low effort recommendations. There's like no downtime, no risk, right? This is the easy savings to go get to quickly move your efficiency score. You can look by region or account or all sorts of different types of dimensions. So on the right, we have, here's the new thing, the cost efficiency score. You can see my score in my demo account has been up and up and up. That's because we got rid of all of our recommendations and potential savings, because after reInvent, when we had to prepare all of our demo accounts to get on stage and like explain score and show it, we went and cleaned up a lot of our environment. So our score has increased pretty drastically.
That's great.
It's a great score. Hey, I'm at almost 80%. That's wonderful.
Nice.
Actually, I was very self-deprecating with the jokes at reInvent, like, "Oh, my score is so low, and I'm the lead of the optimization team. What am I doing?" So that was fun.
Love it. Yeah, I do my demo account. I've always got so much waste, and I'm like, my goal is to show waste.
No, Steph, like, you are the leader of keys to optimization, and you're so not optimized.
So not good at this.
Yeah. So you see like the overall number here of your cost efficiency. And like we talked about a little earlier, if you want to know more about like, hey, how did you come up with this number? We've got these really cool info panels that give you the formula. So if you want to replicate the formula, here it is right here. Potential savings divided by total optimizable spend times 100. And we subtract it from 1 to make it a positive percentage. And then if you want to know the definition of what is total optimizable spend, same thing. We give you the definition of total optimizable spend here. Same with potential savings. Here's the definition of potential savings. So again, transparency is so important, not just for anybody that's directly using the score, but we wanted to equip FinOps teams that are going to go take this score and go show it to leadership or other business units or whoever, that you can answer these questions. So it's not just about AWS being transparent with the individual users of these products and tools, but your whole organization, because you have to go turn around and build trust with your leadership to really gain support with your FinOps initiatives and efforts to make sure you've got the right investment amounts, headcount, support, organizational imperatives, all those sorts of things. So that transparency is key. Okay, so we can also do a few things with the score. This is the overall score. This is my payer account, which has some accounts, linked accounts in it as well. You can also look at, what are my least efficient accounts? What are my most efficient accounts? So I can say, like, oh, this is the account I should really spend the most time on. Efficiency is really dragging me down here.
Yeah.
And then say I know who owns that account. I have account name in here. Actually, Savannah was just pinging me a couple days ago, like, thank you so much for adding account name searching ability in the hub. So that's one thing. We have the account names listed.
Good. Nice
little UX improvement we made. So if you know who owns that account, you know who to go nudge and say, let's have a meeting. Let's get some coffee. Let's talk about efficiency. And what scope of accounts and resources will move the needle the most. And that's why we added this like least efficient, most efficient, because we know, and what we heard from customers is comparison is really important, so we can highlight what areas of our business to focus on first. And a few ways to do that, like I talked about, you can kind of focus on recommendation type, like which ones are the low-hanging fruit, no restart required, very low effort kind of recommendations, but also which group to talk to first. So efficiency score is really designed for that. most efficient regions. We also have by region. So you can look at, hey, what are my best regions? Is there a specific region I should be focusing on as well?
And what's always interesting I found with region is that people don't, if you're like, oh, I only use one region, people sometimes don't click on that tab. And I encourage all of you to go, because sometimes you unearth accidental spend that happens with deployment issues, where someone hasn't specified a region or put the wrong like 1 to 2 by accident. I really encourage it, because the amount of people that says like, oh, I have random spend in this place, I didn't realize, go have a look at it.
Yeah. Okay, so by default, we're showing you daily. And so you can hover your mouse over this efficiency metric and see every single day has a number associated to it. So like we talked about earlier, as your environment changes, say people are building new things, people are leaving things on accidentally, people are deleting things, whatever is happening in your environment will be reflected on a daily basis in this score. So the trend analysis is really important here. And again, like as we think about the future of optimization, because for those of you that have been following us, Steph and myself, for a long time, we love launching a lot of capabilities and features on a fast cadence. Albert's team and our overall engineering team, like we're agile, we're fast, we love launching a lot. So as new recommendation types come out and as we build new capabilities, you're also going to see some impacts on the score as well, because we'll go find a new recommendation that saves more money. So you might see the score drop. And so being able to track that and see, okay, what's the correlation to when a new recommendation dropped, right? Because the score is going to change a lot over time because of your environment and because AWS continues to improve and launch new optimization capabilities. And then we have the monthly granularity as well. It's a little bit more like flat because we're just taking one data point per month. So if you want monthly or daily, the choice is yours on what data granularity you prefer. And also custom date ranges. If you want to zero in on a very specific period of time in the last 3 months in your organization, you're free to do so. So you can really zoom in and tell a story. So you could say, hey, we did an optimization campaign from this day to this day, and we want to just look at just that part of the curve. You're free to.
Perfect. And we were talking about this before, like you just mentioned, we understand that these scores will change over time. And so what we're going to think about is, hey, we have this idea of like, hey, I'm going to set a goal for this quarter. I'm going to get my efficiency score from 80 to 90. You do all that work, and then we release a bunch of new checks, which is amazing. But then your score changes. How do you deal with that? So if anyone has any feedback, drop us that email at costoptimization@amazon.com.
We're thinking about how to handle that because we're constantly, working on new recommendation types that are gonna show up here, right? So do we version the score? Do we drop release notes or sort of a score history tracker, right? Those are some of the things we're thinking about potentially doing to make sure there's tons of transparency and visibility when you see a dip in the score. That's because AWS did something, launched a new feature, found more savings. So you can kind of compare, oh, this dip is from me, my environment changing, versus this dip is from AWS finding more money. And that's sort of my team's job is like, and Steph helps us a ton too on this. Like we go around, talk to a lot of customers, and we're like treasure hunters. We're finding piles of money to go save. So we're constantly looking for, hey, is there a recommendation we can go build? Is there a lot of idle or unused resources to go find and build a recommendation on? So constantly looking at that.
I love that. Right. With that, we got one more question I'll throw up, which is, how does this play with IAM/RBAC for specific teams that may be scoped to a particular area of an environment, such as database admins?
Yeah, hopefully it's scoped by account, right? So you can take a look at efficiency by account if you have specific permissions per account. You can look at the score for an individual account, and you can enable the cost optimization hub for an individual linked account. Or you can do it a pair account. So you have some options there. And it really is like one of those things where if you have other grouping dimensions that you like to use, let us know. We've heard tags. Earlier in the show, we heard AWS orgs. So that's something we're taking a look at is cost optimization hub supports orgs today from an opt-in perspective. But if you want maybe scopes or filters by orgs, let us know. Very interesting to make sure that this score works with your business structure.
And that person was from VM Turbo. Do you know that company?
I do know that company.
That's Chuck Miller from BM. He was like, "Hey, Rick from BM Turbo." So.
Okay, yeah, that was the previous name of Turbonomic.
I was thinking when it said turbo, I was like, I'm pretty
that was
sure.
turbo.
So yeah,
Yeah.
Lost and past. Right, we got a little bit of time left, so we're going to cover two last points, which is Rick, what's the response been like since having this in a quick fire?
It's been overwhelming. It would have been really easy for this reinvent for the efficiency metric to be lost in the sea of announcements.
Mm-hmm.
We launched database savings plans. That's been probably the number one launching conversation we've had since reinvent.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I think database savings plans is something we were really excited about and spent a ton of time and effort on. But I was actually more excited about cost efficiency, because once the furor dies down of database savings plans, everybody makes their initial purchases, we still have to go and operate FinOps. We still have to go and do the same job that we've done before. We're just purchasing for yet another scope. An efficiency metric is really going to allow us long-term to move the needle on how FinOps teams operate and think. And it did not get lost in the weeds. People had already looked at their score. People had already started writing their own blog posts and thinking about, how do we integrate this? Third-party products are also taking a look at integrating the score into their tool. That's exciting to me as well, because first off, it's free. Anybody can look at it, but if it goes alongside with what other companies are finding from an optimization perspective or reporting on, it's a better together story. And that's like a key element of FinOps overall, is that like we're all working together to advance the cause of FinOps, right? And we have a strong community here, and we all work and invest in FinOps from our own perspective in our own seat. And to see the community say, okay, this is going to work. I'm going to integrate this. I'm going to build this into my product, or I'm going to add this to my dashboard. That's the signal we were hoping for, because that's what it's going to take to really change the culture, not just of FinOps at large, but for the individual companies where they have FinOps activities and practices that are going to fundamentally change how they manage their cloud spend.
Yeah.
So to see some of the public blog posts, we also had some constructive feedback as well. I saw some LinkedIn threads and comments about, hey, this doesn't cover architectural optimization. And that's true, it doesn't. It's very hard to quantify mathematically what the potential savings of re-architecting applications is. You can't do that at scale for like millions of accounts. It's just, unfortunately, like there's not a technology that will auto be a solution architect like Steph and go around and re-architect everything for a customer. If we could automate that, that'd be great. But
no, I need a job, Rick.
AI, Steph, AI. It's the score must be consistent. It must be deterministic and reliable. And things like architecture optimization improvements are not covered in that score, because they are per app. They are depending on the skill and knowledge and experience of the architect that is taking a look at that, and how skilled and knowledgeable they are when it comes to cost. And so there's still room and opportunity in the FinOps space for architecture improvements to really move the needle even more on efficiency and spend. So some constructive feedback I saw kind of out there in the ether is that architecture is still something that this doesn't solve and needs to be thought about and managed.
And there was a feature request for a list, an exhaustive list of what cost items support tagging and what cost items do not. So we'll cost I have told them to email me. And we're almost at time, folks. If you have any more questions, do email. The last thing I'll check in with Albert is, what's the future? What things are you guys thinking about that you can share coming up?
Yeah, I think we have think a lot about like what the future other newer aside from the current feature we provide, like the things that we use that we are aggregating. For one thing, as for now, we are only aggregating by like either O, or then there's account and region, and when we will return this of the result, the scoring result. So yeah, like it may. We're definitely consider like extending the option of this, because like in the backend, in the behind the screen, we are not just only just like disaggregate those saving items as like in account and region level. We also like we implement like the make it an aggregation on the service level as well. But yeah, like, and there's also like Rick, like how I think we discussed it before the meeting. It's like we definitely we have a set of like thoughts about like what are the future possible feature that we can support. There might not be a guarantee on the time and stuff for now, but like I think something we mentioned before is like one is like the exporting the item, right? That's definitely something we will consider, and yeah, like also the other thing, yeah, like time possibly time range support. As for now, we are only supporting 90 days, like including monthly, and so there's a chance why we extend that. But yeah, like Rick, is there anything you want to follow up on?
Yeah,
sure.
I think we covered a lot of the things we're hearing that we're taking a look at. You know, export is something we're hearing a lot of. I am curious exactly how important extending past 90 days is for customers. I've heard some of that, but I haven't heard the use case yet. So there's some of that, you know, not only that, but as we introduce new recommendations, making sure the score is updated so it's super accurate and reflective of what's out there for you to go save. I think that's important. But what I would say is, like, if you're in the FinOps community, if you are a member of the foundation, then we'll see you at FinOps X, I guess.
Oh, that's a good
a little bit of a carrot that, you know, we'll be there during the keynote. We're a sponsor of the event, and we love showing up to FinOps X with new free optimization features. So get your feedback over to us. And if you haven't bought your ticket yet, go do that while the early bird rates are still there for registration. Yeah. And we'll see you in San Diego. So get your feedback in early. We use that data to make our prioritization decisions on what the new features are. The number of feature requests we've had for efficiency is pretty high. So we have a lot of work to do to go figure out like which ones are the most impactful improvements for the most number of customers and all that sort of product management stuff. But we can't wait to see you in San Diego with a lot of goodies.
Yeah.
We're really excited. We have a huge roadmap to go deliver on in the next few months to get ready for next. But I'm excited.
All right. And there is a couple more feedback. It's one for sovereignty as well. Please email costoptimization@amazon.com to do that. But on the FinOps X thing, we have my counter. So FinOps X, it feels like a long time away. So there's a lot of time for things to be built. So make sure to check that out. Last couple of things. Go on to Builder Center and make sure that you follow me on Builder Center on there to see summaries of episodes that we do alongside my like other show that I always come back on the 23rd, which is how to build like AWS. And if you want to stay up to date with all the cool things that we have going on, check out the AWS Customer Acceleration Team LinkedIn page. You often see me reposting from there. That's where loads of the summaries go on. With that, I will say goodbye. Thank you so much. Thank you for the amazing questions. And I'm actually going to be off for 2 weeks. I'm going on leave for a bit. Such fun. So you'll see Savannah next week and the week after doing some amazing reInvent summary episodes. So see you then, folks. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.